For hundreds of thousands of years, evolution made us smarter. Our brains grew, our tools advanced. We tamed fire, built cities, and reached for the stars. But something strange is happening. In the last few thousand years, the human brain has been shrinking, and some scientists believe we are getting less intelligent. For most of human history, our brains were enormous, nearly 1,500 cubic centimeters in size, even larger than today's. But over the past 10,000 years, the human brain has lost volume, roughly the size of a tennis ball. That's not speculation, that's measurable fact. You can see it in the fossils, from Ice Age hunters to Bronze Age farmers to modern skulls. The trend is consistent, global, and unnerving. Some researchers call it the reverse evolution of intelligence. Others are more cautious, calling it neural streamlining. But the question remains, why would evolution, the great engine of progress, start dismantling the very organ that made us human? For early humans, intelligence wasn't optional, it was survival. Those who couldn't plan, hunt, or cooperate simply died. Natural selection rewarded sharpness, memory, and problem solving. Our brains grew because the world was dangerous. But something changed around 10,000 years ago, the dawn of agriculture. We stopped chasing food, we started growing it. Villages replaced wilderness, security replaced struggle, and evolution relaxed. For the first time, being clever was no longer a matter of life and death. A weaker mind could survive, protected by the tribe, fed by the harvest, carried by the collective. As life got easier, nature stopped favoring the genius. Some neuroscientists call it the domestication of humans. Like wolves turned into dogs, we became gentler, safer, and a little bit slower. Our skulls didn't just shrink. Our faces softened. Our jaws narrowed. Our bodies became less rugged. We began selecting for cooperation, not cunning, for obedience, not innovation. Evolution didn't stop. It simply started optimizing us for comfort. As civilization grew, so did complexity. But not for individuals, for systems. Where once one human had to know how to hunt, heal, and survive, now thousands could specialize. One plowed, one forged, one wrote laws. Knowledge was no longer in the brain, it was in the network. Civilization outsourced intelligence. We no longer needed every person to be a genius. We only needed the system to function. And systems, unlike brains, don't reproduce biologically. They persist regardless of who's inside them. As writing emerged, memory atrophied. As machines advanced, manual skills declined. And as algorithms took over, even decision-making began to fade. Each step forward made life easier, and the mind a little duller. When geneticists began sequencing ancient DNA, they weren't looking for intelligence, but something strange appeared. Genes linked to brain development and cognition have been slowly decreasing in frequency since the Neolithic era. One study found that certain variants tied to memory and attention peaked thousands of years ago and then began fading away. At first, scientists thought it was noise, but the trend repeated across multiple samples: Europe, Asia, Africa. A global signal of cognitive decline. Some believe it's because smarter people no longer have more children. Others suggest it's simple genetics. In large, safe societies, the pressure to stay sharp disappears. Those with less advantageous cognitive genes are no longer selected out. The result? A slow, invisible drift, the dimming of the human spark. But what if this decline started even earlier? Long before farming, long before writing. Archaeologists have uncovered hints that humans of 30 or 40,000 years ago might have been smarter than we think. Not just instinctive hunters, but abstract thinkers with art, tools, and mathematics we barely understand. At sites like Blombos Cave in South Africa, humans carved geometric patterns 70,000 years ago, long before the supposed birth of civilization. In Europe, ancient hunters mixed pigments with chemistry-like precision, painting masterpieces deep underground with perfect proportion and symmetry. Could it be that the peak of human creativity and intelligence came not with cities, but with the wilderness, when survival demanded imagination, not comfort? Some scientists even speculate that ancient humans had faster mental processing, more vivid memory, and a level of intuitive intelligence that we no longer access. It's not that we became stupider overnight. We became adapted to a world that no longer needed brilliance. In the 21st century, technology is both our triumphs and our undoing. For the first time in history, we no longer need to remember. We no longer need to navigate, calculate, or even think deeply. The internet does it all for us. Our brains evolved to be plastic, to rewire themselves to meet the challenges of life. But what happens when the challenges vanish? When curiosity itself is replaced by convenience? Studies show that the average human attention span has dropped dramatically in the last 2 decades. IQ scores, once rising steadily for a century, have begun to decline in many developed countries. And yet, our technology grows smarter every day. Machines are learning faster than we are. Artificial intelligence now writes, paints, and predicts with a kind of precision that once defined human genius. Some researchers call this the intelligence inversion. For the first time in history, the tools we created to amplify our minds may be replacing them. The more we rely on them, the less our own minds are required. Evolution is slow. Technology is not. And that imbalance may reshape us in ways we can't yet see. Intelligence isn't only genetic, it's also biological, shaped by diet, stress, environment, and education. But the modern world is quietly attacking all of these. Our diets are filled with artificial chemicals and nutrient deficiencies that impact brain development. Our sleep cycles are shattered by blue light and stress. Our attention is fragmented by constant notifications. Even our fertility is dropping, altering how genes pass forward. Some neurobiologists warn that we are engineering a cognitive crisis, not through mutation, but through environment. Our children grow up surrounded by screens instead of stories, algorithms instead of mentors, and the brain, deprived of deep thought, adapts to the shallow. In a way, intelligence itself is evolving, away from depth towards speed. We are becoming optimized for scrolling, not for reflection. The species that once painted caves now paints pixels. And both are art, but one required silence, patience, and imagination. The other requires Wi-Fi. But maybe this isn't the end of intelligence. Maybe it's its metamorphosis. Some scientists argue that our brains aren't weakening, they're adapting to a new kind of environment, an interconnected global brain. Instead of every person being a genius, the collective becomes the genius. The internet, the cloud, the machine, extensions of our cognition. In this view, intelligence isn't dying, it's migrating from neurons to networks. Just as cells formed organisms and organisms formed societies, maybe societies are forming something larger, a planetary intelligence that no single human can comprehend. It's a comforting thought, but also a terrifying one. Because if the next stage of intelligence doesn't require us, what happens to us? There's an eerie symmetry to this story. Tens of thousands of years ago, as glaciers melted and wild animals vanished, humans adapted. They got smaller, gentler, more communal. Now, in a different kind of wilderness, digital, not physical, we are adapting again. Our tools are evolving faster than we are. Our intelligence, once raw and personal, is dissolving into the collective cloud. And yet, within each of us, deep in the DNA that once built fires in caves, is the same spark. The hunger to understand, to create, to question. That hunger built civilizations. It split the atom. It dreamed of other worlds. And it's still here, just quieter now, buried under convenience, waiting to be remembered. The story of human intelligence isn't a straight line upward. It's a wave, rising, falling, reshaping. Maybe we're not getting dumber. Maybe we're simply entering another phase. But if intelligence is to survive, not in machines, but in us, we'll need to remember what made it grow in the first place. Curiosity, struggle, imagination, and the courage to be uncomfortable. Because comfort never made us smarter. Adversity did. Curiosity did. Wonder did. So the next time you look at your phone, scrolling endlessly through a feed, remember, this is not what the brain was built for. It was built to ask questions no machine can answer, to find patterns in chaos, to feel awe in the face of the unknown. That is what made us human, and it's what might yet save us. We are not losing our intelligence. We are forgetting where it came from.